today's show, the Dallas Mavericks are the Thunder's kryptonite. There's no other way to explain it. And PJ Washington is the leader among them. What happens when the Mavs play the Thunder? We'll tell you in today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Amazing.
Your team every day.
Still can't eat milk.
Let it ride. Da na 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 da na 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 da na na na. And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Subscribe to our free Locked On Mavs newsletter. Check the QR code or the link in the description to find a way to get that into your inbox every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your first win. If you win that first bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started. And joining me for the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel, the post-game prodigy. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Oh, man. Just, what a win. I mean, seriously, what a win. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Got some magic today. I'll take it. I'll take it for
birthday, sure. Nick birthday gimmick come through again.
I'll take it. Today's episode, we'll talk about the Mavs beating the Thunder again. The Mavs have beat the Thunder 3 times. The rest of the NBA has beaten the Thunder 5 times. Insane. So we'll talk about the Mavs. We'll talk about that third quarter. That was massive. Mavs win that one 31-21. We'll talk about what happened there. Jason Kidd made some great decisions in that quarter that we'll talk about. We'll talk about Spencer Dinwiddie getting a bounce back, the big plays of Quentin Grimes and Maxi Kleber. We'll talk about Kyrie Irving leading the Mavs. We'll talk about PJ Washington, but let's start here slightly. I think the question today needs to be asked. What is it about the Dallas Mavericks that the Thunder just can't beat? Because it's now been 3 times. I mentioned that they have the rest of the NBA is beating them 5 times. It's not a lot. That ratio makes no sense. The Mavericks, it's not like they've been playing great basketball. They've been fighting hard and they've been trying, but they just lost to the Hornets. They lost, they've lost these really bad games lately. And there is something about this Thunder team that the Mavericks get up for. And it starts with PJ Washington. Played 40 minutes, 22 points, 19 boards, should have been 20. 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Hit a couple of threes, went to the free throw line 10 times. And he just gets up. And yes, the Thunder were without Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein. At some point, you think they'll get them back. And maybe that changes the dynamics of this matchup. But for what the matchup has been, for the most part, against the Mavs and the Thunder, PJ being the biggest guy, basically. He's as big as their center, Jalen Williams. Being the biggest guy on the floor sometimes has been a huge boost for the Mavericks to have Gafford fighting down low and PJ just fly in and grab another rebound, just fly in and drive by a guy because he's bigger and can finish over them. I think he has been one of the biggest catalysts of this, and now it's kind of gotten to his head in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, the Mavs definitely have size. They have, when they're healthy, 2 big centers that can kind of dominate on the boards. And I think this is 3 of the Mavs games against the Thunder. There has been Chet or Hartenstein.
Right.
So you do have to throw that little caveat in there. But the size definitely, the positional size as well. You mentioned PJ Washington, and then Luka, when he plays, he's huge. Like, there's just a ton of size the Mavs have, and that is the Thunder's kryptonite. But it's reaching this weird point, especially with PJ, where there's a mental thing there as well. I mean, there just simply has to be. There's like a mental roadblock the Thunder have, and you can kind of feel it. You can kind of sense it in the broadcast, through the crowd. You can kind of sense it with the uncharacteristic turnovers the Thunder have.
Yes.
Where it's almost like, oh my God, the Mavs are up 6 in the third quarter. Like, here we go. Like, PJ just went coast to coast and laid it up, and now he's screaming at our bench like it's happening again. And it's really interesting.
And let's be clear, the Mavs were without Luka Doncic.
Oh, yeah.
Derek Lively, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, Jaden Hardy, Dwight Powell. They were without a whole bunch of guys in this game. And they still found a way. And I think we mentioned the Thunder's absences because I think that highlights PJ Washington's advantage over the Thunder and why he's been so good in this matchup. But man, it is something that this Mavs team keeps getting up for this Thunder team. There has to be something about the confidence that you get after beating a team a couple times and coming back in and saying, all right, we can beat this team. We kind of saw it in that series against the Timberwolves. The Mavs beat them 2 times. Luka hit that game winner on Rudy Gobert. And all of a sudden the Mavericks had this crazy confidence and they come home and they win that game 3. And you felt, all right, we can just beat this team. Right. And you kind of felt the same way against the Celtics, against the Mavs. They blew game 4 where the Mavericks just blew out the Celtics. But the Celtics felt like, all right, we can come back and we can win this because we're confident against this team. Sometimes it works against you and sometimes it works for you. And for the Mavericks right now, it's working for them that they can beat the Thunder like this.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the biggest sort of strengths the front office has had is they go out and they get guys who step up and play well in environments like this and then playoff environments. Like Dorian was that kind of guy when he was here. But now PJ slotted in and you saw him, incredible in this series against the Thunder. He's dominated this matchup pretty much every single game they played so far this season. Should have had 20 and 20 tonight. And PJ just came off of a 30-piece against the Timberwolves, who they met in the playoffs last year. So, I mean, it's just top to bottom. I was noticing this, and this was going to be my main takeaway, even if the Mavs ended up losing this game. It was in the first quarters. Like, the Mavs are not scared of this Thunder team in the slightest.
No.
Like, they have one of the best crowds. I've been there. It's an incredible crowd.
Yes. Same.
They have one of the best crowds. Their team is incredible, as we know. Their defense it just swarms you. It smothers you. It feels like there's 6 or 7 guys on the court at any given moment. And just the Mavs just fight through it every single second of the game. And it never feels when the Mavs have played the Thunder so far this season that the Thunder throw a haymaker, which they do, and the Mavs don't respond back immediately. So, I mean, huge props to the team, seriously.
And that has been the calling card of this Mavs team, even without Luka and without all these guys. They have not backed down. Yes, they have made some terrible decisions and bad plays late in games to lose some of these, right? We mentioned the Hornets loss. There have been others. But the Mavs don't back down and they don't fold. I think that's the huge thing. They did not fold in this game. There were moments in this game the Mavericks could have folded. The Thunder get a lead in that second quarter and it got up to 9, which is not huge in the NBA, but the momentum was starting to swing to the Thunder. They were starting to get some buckets going. All of a sudden, the crowd was back into it, and then the Mavs didn't fold, and they cut it to 2 at halftime. And then the Mavericks got a big lead, 13, their biggest lead, and then the Thunder cut it all the way back to 2 in the fourth quarter, and the Mavericks didn't fold then either. Cut it to 2 with like 5 minutes left in the game, 5:30 left in the game. And then the Thunder decided to double Kyrie Irving. He kicks it up to Maxi over to Grimes for a 3. Like the role players, like you said, stepping up in big moments. And this Mavericks team did not fold. That third quarter has to be mentioned because I think that was the big reason why they won this game. If we're just looking at the game on its own, and the Mavericks won that one 31-21. And what the Mavericks did is they started in a zone on defense and they really forced the ball out of SGA's hands over and over and over again. He was 1 for 6, and that one came at the very end of a highly contested shot against Quentin Grimes right there at the buzzer. So like literally didn't 0 for 5 until the very last second of the quarter. Yep. And didn't get anything else. Didn't get to the free throw line either. They forced the ball out of his hands, forced Jalen Williams to try to make some shots. He scored 14 points in that quarter, but the Thunder only got 2 other field goals the whole rest of that quarter from anyone else.
Yeah, and this has been, we saw this back in the playoffs last year. This is how the Mavs have decided we're going to guard the Thunder a lot of the times, is we're going to send bodies at SGA and we'll force other guys to do things. We're okay with that. We don't, in this moment, we don't necessarily trust J-Dub. And if J-Dub's going to hit a tough contested midi, which he hit a few of those tonight. I mean, he hits those. He hit 33 points. He played well. But the Mavs are okay with that. Like they'll live with that. And if J-Dub, beats them, then so be it. They'll live with some of these lower percentage 3-point guys getting some shots up. And the Thunder shot 40% from 3. But I mean, Shai's going to get you 30 points. Like that's been his calling card, is he's going to get you 30. Now, that's also one of the critiques of his game, weirdly enough. And I'm saying this as a guy who's been a Shai fanboy for quite some time, is he's getting you 30 points. Like he had 50 last night, and that was a great game, a career high for him. But he's getting you 30 points
against the Jazz.
Against the Jazz, sure.
Against the Jazz. Are we not? I'm surprised that no one came out with the defense is so bad against the
right. I'm gonna say something to you guys, because I know a lot of you guys said the same thing on Twitter. It's hypocritical if last year we said, shut up about the defense, that was an incredible scoring effort. You can't then turn around and be like, oh, whoa, no, the defense sucks, guys, right? Like I'm agreeing with you now. It doesn't work like that. You got to keep the same energy. And if you're consistent, then you have.
I kept the same energy. It's just that if the ones that said the defense with Luka had 73, that it's just because the defense and the defense. We're not crashing out about the defense in the NBA this year.
That was one of the most embarrassing media moments in years.
Cost Luka an MVP, I think.
Maybe.
That third quarter was absolutely massive. It was huge. I thought Jason Kidd made those good decisions that we talked about. But the players stepped up in a huge way too. Spencer Dinwiddie, a bounce back. We had huge moments from other guys as well. Let's talk about specifically Spencer Dinwiddie and what he meant to this game coming up.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action right now because of the NFL playoffs. You can get $300 in bonus bets if you put down $5 and that first bet wins. You can do all kinds of other stuff. They have NBA odds you can go check out all the time. The finals odds. Did the Thunder's final odds lower? No, they're still plus 230. They're second behind the Celtics plus 220. Cavs plus 750. Nuggets plus 1300. The Mavs have gone way down. The Mavs are plus 2400, tied with the Bucks. Above the Grizzlies still, which I think is interesting. Not a lot of money there. All kinds of stuff you could do with the NFL playoffs as well. The Eagles are now minus 6.5 point favorite. That went up by a point since the last time we checked it. Go check and see anything you could do on FanDuel. Go check it in your area. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. Get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, what we call our listeners. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. If you want to subscribe to get text sent straight to your phone, where I'll send you notes during games, I'll send you every morning before a game, I'll send you the Mavs game day. I'll tell you where the game is. I'll tell you who's going to play. I'll give you injury updates throughout the day, things to watch for in the game, all kinds of stuff like that. If you like that kind of stuff and want to talk with me and Isaac one-on-one, subscribe to that. Text the number. It's in the description. Or you can go ahead and check the links in the description as well. And you can, or check the QR code. There's a way for you to get there as well. Help support the show and all that. All right, Slightly. Spencer Dinwiddie, bounce back. I mean, we literally were talking about Spencer Dinwiddie yesterday about how it's getting old. The amount of time he has to play. And he's playing too much. And he's pounding the air out of the ball. And he's not passing. He's not moving the offense through him. And we did say, I'll give us credit, that Spencer Dinwiddie, every couple games is going to have one of these games where all of a sudden you go, yep, that's it. That's why the Mavs brought in Spencer Dinwiddie. That's what they got excited about. That's why the rumor about them bringing in Spencer Dinwiddie was tied to the idea that he was going to be a spot starter. He finishes with 28 points, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, which, it's like a great chucker game, but 11 of 14 from the field, hit 3 threes, all 3 of his free throws, and was a plus 10 when he played, made some big, massive baskets, including with 2:40 left, that huge dunk that felt like, I think Follow mentioned it, felt like the dunk on Rudy Gobert in the playoffs in 2022. Yeah. That was massive. But Dinwiddie was just huge in this game, his attacking over and over again.
Yeah, and I mean, but we have to take our own advice because during his good stretch at the start of the season, we were like, we have to remember this whenever he starts playing bad, that they don't have games like this. Man, yeah, he was big. It's just, He takes tough shots when they go in. It's great. He had a couple tough threes that went in. When those miss, you think to yourself, why on earth would he shoot that shot? But it's when he's quick and decisive with the ball, it works out. That's really it. That's where the gripes come, when it's just he dribbles the ball too long and bad things come from that. But hard to complain about 28 on 11 of 14, man. That's
28 points on 14 shots.
That's pretty good, man. That's pretty great.
Dinwiddie's confidence, I feel like, comes from the confidence of the Mavs playing this Thunder team, where actually in the first quarter, in the first half, they had 10 turnovers, and the Thunder were deflecting all over the place, and it didn't feel like it deterred the Mavericks at all. It didn't feel like they hung their head and said, oh man, we can't even dribble on these guys. And sometimes a team, if you turn the ball over too many times, you overcorrect. And then all of a sudden you're not attacking and you're not trying as hard, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, they can't dribble at all. And then you fall into OKC's hands, where you're playing into their game, where they don't want you to drive because they don't have rim protectors right now. They've got Jalen Williams, the 6'5", the 6'5" wing, or 6'4", as SGA called him. Did you see that video where SGA calls him 6'4", and Jalen Williams gets mad at him?
Yeah,
that was funny. They also have the big Jalen Williams, and all his rim protection is taking charges.
Yes.
Literally it. I mean, him and Tim Hardaway are the same amount of rim protector.
Yeah. They take care of business. I mean, you're supposed to dominate a team like that with your size. Like that's really it.
Yeah, and they did.
And that's
43 rebounds.
Not hanging your head is going back to this idea that they are a mentally tough team. I know they've lost a lot of games recently, but we've praised them for playing hard. It's just some things have not gone their way in some of these games. And it's also what we say, the fake comebacks. Oh, I don't even like the fake comebacks. I'd rather them not do a fake comeback. That's a sign of a team that plays hard, that doesn't quit, that doesn't, hang their heads. So fake comebacks lead to games like this, basically, is what I'm trying to get at.
And it's not like a fake comeback where they're down 25 and they come back to down 12. We've seen Mavericks teams in the past do that, right? Where all of a sudden, they're coming back. It's like, no, that's really the other team. It was in hand. I mean, some of the fake comebacks, the Mavs get to within 2 or 3 or something like that. And so that's what we mean by that. And this game was close the whole way. What did I say the biggest lead was? The Mavs had a 13-point lead in the third quarter. That was the biggest lead of any team the whole game.
Yeah, close game.
They kept it close. Dinwiddie's attacking, and the attacking of Dinwiddie also made me think of Omax. 21 minutes, 14 points. What do you have? 13 in the first half. And he was confident driving against this Thunder team, which is not something you would think because Omax has not been super confident lately, but it feels like he's building on it. And his ability to drive, get to the free throw line, took 9 free throws. Now he missed 4 of them, but he got to the free throw line 9 times. And his confidence felt like there is something with this Mavericks team having confidence against the Thunder, and it ripples to everybody else. Kessler Edwards with the start. I mean,
that's crazy. He actually gave you some pretty good minutes, though.
He
I
did.
will say, like, he gave you some shockingly good minutes. But yeah, I mean,
and that's how you know that it's just like an aura, to use the Thunder's own word, around them. Like it's an aura around the Mavericks against this Thunder team, because Kessler Edwards should not have this like built up momentum. He didn't play against the Thunder in the other games, but there's just something about playing them that gave him confidence too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you have, so Luka's not playing, obviously, but Kyrie's won a championship. Kyrie's been around a long time. He's been in wars. He's been to the finals several times. What is it, like 4 times in his career now?
Not real wars. I think we need to clarify.
Real wars.
I think we need to clarify that with him.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. If there were NBA players who were in active wars, Kyrie would be towards the top of my list.
Lowry Markkanen was just in the military like this past summer.
Fake. Are you kidding me? He probably was scrubbing
Finland's
the floor.
Military? Really?
No, he's probably sweeping
Calling
the
out
floor.
Finland's military.
Look, I love my veterans. I have a few veteran friends that I'm very close with, and we joke all the time about how their main duty was sweeping the floor. I guarantee you, if that's the case here in Finland, Larry Markkanen is mopping the floor somewhere for a few hours a day and calling it quits and hitting the gym. But anyways, I don't even know what we were talking about. Oh yeah, they have Kyrie Irving, who
has not been in a real war.
Has not been in a real war, but it can captain the ship a little bit and is just it's just a stabilizing presence, man.
Yeah,
he just did. And then Markieff comes in.
Oh my gosh!
You know what? To his credit, he missed 2 threes. They look good out of his hands. I thought they were both going in.
I thought so too.
And the bench was like dapping him up after the misses. So that's a stabilizing presence right there. You might not think it because 4 minutes, no stats really to speak of.
He had an assist and a rebound and a steal.
He had a steal in 4 minutes. He's actually
Tony Snell would never.
Stuff in the stat sheet right there. Those per 36 numbers are crazy, probably. But yeah,
what is this?
It's just a team that, they have a lot of faith in each other. They believe in each other. They don't believe any lead's too big. They believe they can win every game. You feel it.
And I kind of think there's something about the way that they'd struggled recently, and then the loss of Lively, and then there's some online talk about they should just tank it and end it. There's not a lot. I put a poll on Locked On Mavs YouTube channel, and we got 1,200 votes, which I think is a lot of votes. And it was like 18%. The options were playoffs or bust, like no other option, have to make the playoffs, or tank, like they got to start the tank now, or reply something else. And the tank option got like 18%. It's like not the majority at all. Obviously, that wouldn't make any sense. It's a very small group of people. But I wonder if some of that got to the Mavericks, because even PJ Washington's like, we're not going to fold. We're not going to back down. We're going for it. Like the season's not over. Follow-up mentioned that a couple times in the broadcast, which makes you think that the team's talking about it. This team's not going to fold. They're not going to back down. The season's not over. It's like only half over.
Yeah. I mean, the taking stuff, I'll give a pass to any fans who said that, just being emotional in the moment, just like, oh my God, the season's falling. And I didn't think they would tank, but I did think like, wow, I don't know how you bounce back this season from all of the different injuries that you're getting. But no, the team itself is never going to tank. I mean, you look at the state of the league, even if they lose out, I'm not convinced they'd be a bottom 3 team. Genuinely, if they don't win a singular game the rest of the season, I think they would still probably finish with more wins than the Wizards. Like the Wizards aren't getting to 23 wins, 24 wins now. I promise you that. The Jazz. So I mean,
we're not legitimately talking about this. We're not.
No, I know, but I'm saying like
there's just no way.
That's out the window. You'd be taking for like the 11th or 12th best odds. You're not doing that.
I mean, they got Derek Lively with like that.
Yeah, but that's different though because you had to do that. You didn't have a choice.
Well, then some people think they have to do it this year, but anyway,
because you have your pick.
But I think the point is that I think some of that may have got, or just even the idea of it got back to some of the players, and they're like, "Hey, we can't. Like, this is not an option for us, right? Players don't tank. Well, some players tank, but yeah, players don't tank. Teams and front offices decide that, and the Mavs stepping up in this game and stepping back. It's just incredible win. Like just an incredible win for a team with missing like half a rotation and an MVP.
You know what? I'm not going to say anything because I would say, man, this is the win where you look back on it, you're like, there it was. That's
when it turned around.
We've said that about 6 or 7 times. Every single win over the last month, we have said those exact words. Like, this is the one.
You don't want to say it again. This is the one. They're going to turn it around right now.
They play the Wizards on Monday. Let me just wait to see how that plays out.
Well, they also don't they play the Celtics 2 more times coming up here? Like,
yeah, they do. But
schedule is not great for them.
I'm more worried about the Wizards game the way the Celtics have been playing lately.
Saturday against Boston, Wizards, Pelicans, Pistons, who had the same record as the Mavericks before tonight.
Pistons are a good basketball team.
Cavs, like that it's just a weird stretch. The Mavs will win the game against Boston and Cleveland, and they'll lose the ones against Washington and New Orleans.
That tracks.
Coming up, big contributions from Omax and Kessler Edwards. Quentin Grimes has a big moment. Maxi has a big moments late. Let's talk about the clutch and what the Mavericks did to get it all done. Coming up.
You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Talkspace. Therapy. It's a game changer. It's been a game changer in my life. It can help manage stress, improve sleep, and communicate more effectively. But the right therapist and fitting sessions into my busy schedule. My schedule changes all the time. It can be a real challenge. That's where Talkspace comes in. I've used services like this before, and it's great to be able to schedule at different times, be able to know that, hey, I've got this set up. And with Talkspace, you can usually find a licensed therapist and get a match within 48 hours. Sometimes you need that, and you need to talk to somebody quick, and you're like, I can't schedule 2-3 weeks out. I need to know and get somebody just to talk this out because it's just a cloud hanging over your head. I've been there. Talkspace. It's covered by many insurance plans as well. For most insured members, there's a $0 copay. It's never been easier to prioritize your mental health. As a listener of this podcast, Locked On Mavs, you'll get $80 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA. Enter the promo code SPACE80, space SPACE, the number 8, the number 0, space 80 to match with a licensed therapist today. Go to Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA. That promo code SPACE80 to get $80 off your first month and show your full support. That's Talkspace.com/LockedOnNBA, promo code SPACE80.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Slightly. So many things to talk about in this game. We'll talk about the clutch moments and things like that, but Dort. Just nasty. It's just not basketball plays. I put a thread together. It's on Blue Sky. It's on the other one. And you just go through some of the plays and you go, man, like, what are you doing? And the last one that got him ejected was the one where he was coming around a screen from Gafford and just like palms the land and the Lord, like just got him fully under the belt. And he got ejected for that because it was unnecessary. But I was talking to our Locked On Thunder host, and I hope he said this on his pod. If he hasn't, he should. Dort is the James Harden of defense.
So, do you remember a couple days ago when we were asking who has the best whistle in the league? And I was like, it's probably a defensive player. Was that on here when we were talking about that? I don't remember.
I don't think so, but continue.
This is kind of along the lines that I'm thinking is defensive players when they sell out and flop all the time for calls probably get the best whistle in the league if we're being honest. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned it earlier. Bobby Caralla on the other podcast tweeted about it that it's just not. It violates the spirit of the game. That's exactly a quote from Bobby. It does. It just
agree with him.
If you have ever played sports at any level, you see something like that, and it's just like, bro, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing right now?
Also, you said the other podcast, like
Like
Voldemort. Like, shout out to our friends at DLLS.
Yeah.
No, completely agree with Bobby. And he quote tweeted that video that I posted and was like, yeah, this is just against the spirit of the game. Like, what are you doing? There's the other one where Dort flopped when Kyrie kind of, ran into him and shook him. And it looked like Kyrie had to just like throw him down just with his with two fingers on each side of him. And it's just a flop, and it's not basketball, and it's trying to play the game within the game. I've talked about this so much this season where I just don't play the game within the game, play the game itself. Like just play basketball. And yeah, anyway, Dort got rightly ejected, and there's so many Thunder fans that are like, why do you guys think Dort's so dirty? I don't know. We'll just watch him play sometimes.
I mean, it's just it's infuriating to watch. I get made fun of all the time because I do like this Thunder team. I've liked them. I've liked Shea.
I think they're the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, and I mean, they do have a weird place in my heart. They probably shouldn't have, all things considered, considering this rivalry that's very real at this point. Dort, I cannot stand. I think he's my least favorite player in the entire NBA. I honestly do not appreciate his game in the slightest. I enjoy nothing about it.
The clutch moments in this game, I want to go through them. 7 minutes left in the game. SGA gets fouled on a drive, and OKC's in the bonus with 7 minutes left. They could get free throws on every foul the rest of the way. It's 99-96. You get a Dinwiddie 3, and then the Thunder make it 102-100 with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left. And the Thunder started to double Kyrie because we've talked about they should just give Kyrie the ball and let him go. Well, one of the problems with that is then OKC or a team can double on the ball, and all of a sudden you have to get the ball out of his hands. But these Mavericks are used to playing off of double teams because of playing with Luka a lot. And that play turned into a Grimes 3 from Maxi, made it 105-100. And then you had another Dinwiddie drive and finish. And then the Mavs put in the all defense lineup because they had a use it or lose it timeout, which I thought was a smart move from Kidd. They get the stop and they call timeout there. And after SGA bobbles the ball and they miss the 3, it's just like huge moment after huge moment.
Yeah. Shout out to Killer Kid. Shout out to Quentin Grimes, who was on pace for quite the stinker. 9 points this game, all 9 in the fourth quarter. How about that? King of the fourth quarter right there. But yeah, I mean, it got a little bit spooky. I mean, Jay Will shot a 3 in the corner that either would have put them up or tied the game. It was just wide open and then missed it. It felt like he couldn't miss at the start of the game. So, yeah, I mean, this was that huge 3 by Quentin Grimes, but that's also why you put the ball in Kyrie's hands, because he gets doubled. That's fine. You feel, I mean, Kyrie's not anywhere near as good at it as Luka, because Luka's just all time passing out of double teams. It's just unreal how unfazed he is passing out of double teams. But Kyrie can still pass out of double teams. And then, like you said, this team is so comfortable in 4-on-3 situations, and the Thunder rotate incredibly well. It's what they do better than any other team in the league. It's why their defense is so good. But you get PJ driving. He has a size advantage. You get kickouts to, theoretically, the Mavs went small to close out this game. You have shooters all over the court. And Maxi made some plays down the stretch, like 4 assists again for Maxi. I mean, this has to be one of the best playmaking stretches of his career, right?
And the moment I was going to say next, 3 minutes, 16 seconds left. The Mavs missed a shot. I think PJ drove and missed it. And then Maxi fought for an offensive rebound, tapped it back. Then they swung it back over to him. Maxi got a 3, made it 110-102 with 3:16 left. After that play, I say Maxi cannot be slandered for 48 hours.
That's fair.
Right?
I agree.
I think that's enough time for that one play. It was worth it. And he had another good game, which also, I did not know this, that Maxi was on a minutes restriction.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Leslie McCaslin was on the broadcast, and she said that he has a 15-minute minutes restriction. He played 19 minutes tonight, so I don't know.
Do we know what the minute restriction is for?
He was questionable a little while ago. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was.
He's played in every single game since December 19th.
It's just, at this point, I just assume all the Mavericks are hurt in some way, and they all still have illness, right? Like they're all still sick, and they all still have they're all hurt. But that Maxi could come out.
A tweet could come out and say Maxi actually lost his right arm in the third quarter of this game.
Maxi had no feeling in his right cheek.
Like, okay, I didn't see it, but I guess.
Then you get the Dinwiddie dunked it home. That was a massive play, just right down the middle, where the Thunder had to stay home on shooters because the Mavs had made a couple of 3s there. And then you get another play, PJ drive, Maxi swings it over to Grimes, another Maxi assist that you mentioned. It was a 9-point game with 2 minutes left, and then it was just kind of a game where the Mavs just kind of let SGA walk to the rim a couple times in a row, which I don't really care for, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, when you do have a crafty guy like Shea and good shooters on the court, I think you just say a Shea layup here where we do not foul him is better than us giving up an and one, or because we know he's great at drawing fouls. He's great at finishing through contact. Better than that, or a kick out to an open shooter, whatever the case may be. And then we just trust we make free throws and don't turn the ball over.
The one that I don't like is 36 seconds left and the Mavericks are running clock down. Like, no, just give one more basket. It was only a 6-point game at that point. Like, give me one more basket there.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Maxi missed the 3 on that one. It was a kind of rush shot. Then you get the play where SGA drove to the rim, got fouled. The foul was called on Kyrie, and the Thunder challenged it, and it moved from a foul move from Kyrie to PJ, which was just, he got him on the wrist a little. It was a very weak call with 30 seconds left.
Weak.
Very
So
weak.
Come on.
That made it a 4-point game. And then you had the Kyrie no-look jump pass in a huge crucial moment in the middle of the floor to try to run more clock down. Got it to Grimes. That was a wild play.
Wild. Just, it looked so natural, but then you saw the baseline angle. And it was like, man, that's a wild pass to throw at that moment.
Then it's a 5-point game. And you get this huge play that I probably should have mentioned earlier. SGA one-on-one against PJ Washington, and PJ Washington stands him up, stonewalls him, doesn't let him get by, doesn't let him get into his rhythm. SGA even tried the double pump fake to try and get him up in the air, didn't get him. He passes it over to Jalen Williams, the wing, and Quentin Grimes, same thing, stands in front of him, stonewalls him, doesn't get him anywhere. He has to take a tough fadeaway jumper. Just like two incredible defensive plays by two Mavs wing defenders. Like, bravo. Just
yep. And great situational awareness too, because the last thing you want to do there is foul. Last thing you want to do is bite on one of those up fakes, give up an and one, whatever the case may be. So yeah, that was huge.
And then it could be a 3-point game with 10 seconds left or something like that. Incredible win for the Mavericks. There'll be a lot more to talk about. We'll continue to have shows for you. We'll have a show on Saturday after the Celtics win as well. Or the Celtics win. Oh my gosh.
Celtics win. He's manifesting it.
No, I jinx it. That's my fault. The Celtics game. It's a 4:30 start Central Time, by the way. Weird game on Saturday. But we'll have a show for you after then. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs. Check the all other kinds of ways to follow the show. We've got the Locked On Mavs Insiders text. We have the newsletter. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.
See y'all after the Mavs win on Saturday.
Dang it.